Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving deep into the science of body types. We're going to unlock the genetic blueprint that pretty much shapes who we are, physically speaking. You've probably wondered about this, right? Maybe at the gym or just looking in the mirror. How can one person pack on muscle like it's nothing while someone else struggles to gain a single pound? What's going on there? Well, the scientific answer has a name. It's called your somotype. And no, it's not just some vague idea like being big-boned or having a fast metabolism. This is a real framework for getting to the bottom of what your body is naturally built to do. So here's what we're going to cover. We'll touch on where these ideas came from, meet the 3 big archetypes, show you how to figure out your own type, and then, the fun part, talk about what it all means for sports and fitness. All right, let's get into it. This whole idea of linking your body shape to your health, it's not new, not by a long shot. We're talking ancient Greece here. Hippocrates himself was making connections between a person's build, their personality, and even what diseases they might get. But the guy who really put this on the map for the modern world was an American psychologist named William Sheldon back in the 1940s. He created a system that was so easy to grasp that we're still using his terms today, whether you're talking to a doctor or a personal trainer. So, Sheldon came up with 3 extreme body types, and where he got the names is actually pretty cool. He named them after the 3 layers of an embryo. You've got the endoderm, which becomes your gut, the mesoderm, which turns into muscle and bone, and the ectoderm, which forms your skin and nervous system. Makes sense, right? Okay, first step, the endomorph. Think of this type as having a natural tendency toward a softer, rounder body shape. So, what's fascinating about endomorphs is this weird combination of traits. They tend to store fat pretty easily because of a slower metabolism, and they have this large frame. But then you look at their wrists and ankles, and they're often surprisingly thin. It's a real paradox. And here's a key physical marker to look for. For an endomorph, the stomach area is typically wider than the chest. This creates a really wide angle right below your breastbone. It's called the epigastric angle. And get this, internally, their stomach is even shaped differently, kind of like a fishing hook. All right, next on the list is the mesomorph. Now this is that classic athletic build you see on the cover of fitness magazines. Mesomorphs kind of hit the genetic jackpot when it comes to sports. We're talking a naturally strong, muscular frame, thick bones, that classic V-shaped torso. Their metabolism is super adaptable too. It fires up when they're active and chills out when they're not. And check this out. It's the complete opposite of the endomorph. For mesomorphs, the chest area is bigger and wider than the abdomen. That epigastric angle we talked about? It's much sharper, creating those broad shoulders. Even their stomach has a different shape, more like a cone. And that brings us to our 3rd and final type, the ectomorph. The keywords here are lean, long, and sometimes even a little bit delicate. You know that friend who can eat an entire pizza and not gain any weight? Yeah, probably an ectomorph. Their metabolism is just blazing fast. Everything about them is defined by length, long arms and legs, narrow shoulders, and they just don't carry much body fat or muscle naturally. So the dead giveaway for an ectomorph is that they're built more up and down than side to side. Their vertical measurements are way more pronounced than their horizontal ones. This gives them a super sharp epigastric angle, a flat chest, and, you guessed it, a stomach that's long and thin, kind of like a stocking. Okay, but here's the crucial part. Almost no one is a pure anything. It's not like you're 100% one type and 0% the others. The reality is, we're all mixed. We exist on a spectrum, and that's exactly what Sheldon's scoring system is for. It's actually pretty simple. You just score yourself from 1 to 7 for each of the 3 types. A 1 means you have very little of that trait, and a 7 means you're the textbook definition of it. Your final score is those 3 numbers together. So let's say you get a score of 1, 7, 1. That means a 1 for endomorph traits, a 7 for mesomorph, and a 1 for ectomorph. That's a pure mesomorph right there. Tons of muscle, not much fat, not at all lanky. But a more realistic score for a lot of people might be something like 4, 5, 1. What does that mean? Well, that's a mesoendomorph. They've got that mesomorph muscle and strength, but they also have that endomorph tendency to hold on to fat. It's that classic stocky or sturdy body type. It's worth pointing out that Sheldon's original studies were mostly on men, but we can absolutely use these same basic ideas, endomorphy, mesomorphy, and ectomorphy, to understand common female body shapes as well. And you'll recognize these shapes. You've got the pear shape, which is kind of like a combination of an ectomorphic upper body and an endomorphic lower body, or the inverted triangle, which is a classic mesomorphic build with those broad shoulders. They all tie back to these three core components. So why are we talking about all this? What's the point? Well, it matters a lot, especially when it comes to sports. Understanding your somatype is like getting a cheat sheet for your own body's athletic potential. It's about playing to your strengths. And this is where it gets really cool because the biology goes deep. Mesomorphs, they're packed with fast twitch muscle fibers for explosive power and often have higher levels of hormones like testosterone. That's why they excel at things like sprinting. Ectomorphs, on the other hand, have more slow twitch endurance fibers and higher thyroid activity, making them natural-born marathon runners. And endomorphs, they might carry more weight, but they have incredible raw strength. They are absolute powerhouses, perfect for sports like powerlifting or for being a dominant force on a rugby or football field. So this all leads to the million-dollar question, right? Are you just stuck with the body you were born with? Is it destiny? Well, Sheldon himself had a pretty clear answer. He believed that your basic framework, your skeleton, your fundamental metabolism was set in stone. He'd say that an ectomorph is just never, ever going to have the frame to be a Mr. Olympia. But, and this is a huge but, while your genetic blueprint might be fixed, you are absolutely the one holding the pencils and drawing on it. You can't change your bones, but you can radically change your physique. That ectomorph who wants to get bigger, they need lots of calories and heavy, smart lifting. That endomorph coming to lean down, high-intensity workouts and watching the carbs are their best friends. It's all about creating the right strategy for your specific type. So think of your somatotype not as a life sentence, but as your body's personal instruction manual. It's not about what you can't do, it's about showing you the smartest way to achieve your goals. It's about working